Hi, we are presenting our topic on the paper Sustainability as a Marketing Tool, to be or to appear to be. It is written by Fabrizio Baldassare and Rafael Campo. The topic is presented by Amandeep Kaur, Pranav Dubey, Raj Thakur, and Tasveer Kanwal. Starting with the topic, the introduction is sustainability communication. But what is sustainability communication? For example, in an organization, the CEO, the staff, the employees, they all go out of the workplace to talk to people. So if they maintain their work ethics outside the workplace and they talk to people with good work ethics, so that increases their credibility, their market gap, and their profit. And if they don't talk to the people with work ethics and with good responses, then that decreases their credibility, profit, and ultimately their market also. Secondly, the topic talks about relative cost and benefits and also the opportunities and threats regarding sustainability and marketing. Now, sustainability and marketing. Sustainability and marketing are totally incompatible. As what is sustainability? It talks about economy giving more towards the environment and also the society. And what is marketing? Marketing talks about decreasing your cost and increasing a market gap and also credibility. So when you go towards sustainability, it requires more cost. And when you go towards marketing, it talks about less cost. So it's totally contradictory and incompatible. Secondly, sustainability is a new marketing paradigm. As now many organizations are implementing sustainability as a marketing paradigm. They are implementing new cost-effective machines and new machines which are harming less to the environment and giving more to the society, which ultimately increases their market gap as people now are more buying products of the companies which are giving more to the society. I'll talk to you about an example of Volkswagen and EPA. The Volkswagen and EPA scandal started in 2004 when EPA started investigating about the Volkswagen. Next slide, please. Yeah. So in 2004, EPA started investigating the Volkswagen, and the Volkswagen firstly said it was the flaws of the third party, as Volkswagen contained a software which turned off emission controls, and it also cheated in the nitrogen oxide emission test. But ultimately, in 2015, Volkswagen admits that it have flawed in the software and tricked the regulator. So in 2015, the scandal got public, and in 2016, starting, they got a reduce in sales or less sales in 2016 starting. Now, next slide. Now, in this, we'll be talking about the four companies: translucent companies, transparent companies, dark companies, and opaque companies. Firstly, we'll talk about the opaque companies. In opaque companies, they do the hyperbole figure of speech. But what is hyperbole figure of speech? Is that when a company tells you about something else and do something else. For example, if a company emits a lot of pollution and doesn't do much for society, and in return they say, and they do their advertising, they say that they're doing much for the company and they're doing less. They're applying the techniques which are less harmful for society. So that's kind of a hyperbole figure of speech. Now, they beautify the image of the organization and conceal negative conduct. Now, it's one of the risky approach. As per the statement given by Goldman in 1998, they say that it's quite deceptive, as once the curtains fall, the companies get great fall in them, and it's quite harmful for the companies. Thank you. Now my friend will explain you about the translucent companies.
Hi, my name is Tasveer, and I will be talking about the translucent companies. Now, these are the companies that actually contribute towards sustainable development. They have sustainable initiatives internally and externally, but what they do is they fail to communicate that to the external world. What it does is it sort of comes out as a vague image for the company externally, and they take sustainability as a social responsibility initiative rather than a strategy. So these companies use sustainability in their internal decision making, and their employees also practice it as their personal belief. An example of this company is the Italian biscuit company that has been given the Ethics Award since 2004, but they failed to contribute any of their sustainable initiatives into any of their published reports. What this does is the lack of sustainable communication actually leads to them losing opportunities in the market where they lose customers that are looking for sustainable companies. They have obstacles in creating relationship within the industry where companies are looking to work with sustainable companies, but since they don't communicate it to the external world, there's a gap between them. They also lose investors when the investors don't have a full picture of the sustainability initiatives of the company. And also these companies appear to be inactive, so when compared to opaque companies, even though they have falsified information, but at least they're communicating it to the world. Next, we're talking about transparent companies. These are the companies that use sustainability internally and externally, and they know how to use it in their marketing initiatives. These companies take sustainability as a competitive advantage, and their employees share the same value. They use the sustainability initiative internally in their decision making. These companies know the hidden cost behind bad environmental decisions. For example, your pollution cost actually gets translated onto the customers. So in a way, your cost increases. And they also know the cost benefits of having green initiatives. For example, good waste management actually reduces your costs, and they understand how sustainability can actually lead to more demand of these products in the market. The decision making of these companies in all walks of life, they practice sustainability. When they're talking about their suppliers, they're looking for suppliers that they follow the same initiative. When they're using transportation companies, they're using the companies that have low carbon emission and they use renewable energy resources. For their production, they make sure that they produce their product in a sustainable way. They have human rights initiatives for their own employees, and they use they have a huge budget of R&D that actually works towards coming up with better sustainable initiatives. And lastly, I'll be talking about the dark companies. These are the companies which have a low communication and they have low sustainable performances. These are small companies that lack the information required to take initiatives in sustainability, or they just are completely ignorant towards this issue. These companies risk being invisible in the market since they fail to communicate what's going on in the organization, hence the name dark companies. Thank you. Now Raj will be carrying on with the presentation.
Hello guys. So doing the right thing, ethics or business? Next slide please. Yeah. So ethics or business, sustainability as we know can be misused and exploited in order to make profits. This has been done by many companies as discussed earlier, and the companies are a part of the society, hence the companies need to take care of the sustainability issues in the society. Is it sufficient to achieve sustainability without disclosing the good things done? Yeah, it is kind of a difficult question, but we can say that this leads us to the next slide, which helps us in differentiating between the translucent and transparent companies. Translucent companies, basically they have only one motto and they go towards profit maximization rather than sustainability issues, and transparent companies they have a bit of both, wherein they go for profit maximization as well as sustainability issues. Communication about sustainability is a key issue in which the company has to communicate to each and every department regarding the sustainability practices, which in turn attracts the market and they can grow the market, and which in turn can help them in getting good investors and in investing in the firm. So justification of the choice of communication is very key, which will be further discussed by my colleague in the next slide. So basically there are 4 different approaches adopted by the 4 companies. The first one is the opaque company, which has a qualitative approach, which basically focuses on the on profit maximization. Then there's translucent companies, which have a qualitative approach, which go for sustainability rather than money. And there's transparent companies, which have a balance and bit of both, qualitative as well as quantitative purposes. The dark companies are the ones which are new in the market, and hence they do not have a grip on what they are doing. So they have indeterminate purpose, which leads to them jeopardizing in their qualitative as well as quantitative approaches, and both of the approaches suffer. Thank you. The next will be told by my colleague.
Hello, my topic is the company is doing hard work, then why not to celebrate? After all, the company is doing the hard work, and after all, the company is doing the hard work, and to celebrate it, they need to communicate well. When they communicate well, next slide, please. When they communicate well, they are able to tell their internal employees and their external customers and stakeholders about the company. When they fail to communicate internally, they face two problems. First of all, implementing the strategies, and then second, there's block in the sustainable growth. When they fail to communicate externally, they have two problems again. Their sales fall down as the customer doesn't know whether the product is sustainable or not, and they miss out many opportunities to these supply chain management and supply chain firms that provide sustainability policies that are very, very helpful in product sales. Next slide, please. The organization basically fears about the competition. Disclosing their strategies would disclose their strategies to the competitors, and also when they are disclosing their strategies, they are handing over their brand image to the consumers, and they are the ones who will decide they are the ones then who will be deciding their position. Sustainability is a basic tool that help a organization in performing ethical values. Not only this, proper communication helps companies and organization for stakeholders and consumers that are extremely necessary to decide whether the organization should reward it, and it should be whether the amount should be invested or not. Next slide, please. Coming to the conclusion, there are basically four types of companies: transparent companies, translucent companies, opaque companies, and the dark companies, as discussed. Transparent companies have appropriate strategies, while translucent companies are unable to communicate and hence fail to show up as per the sales maintained. Opaque companies are doing window dressing for their for the customers, but in a way they aren't doing anything towards the sustainable marketing. And dark companies are new to the market, so they hardly know about sustainability in the markets. Coming to the examples of these companies, transparent companies are the best example. For the transparent companies is Body Shop. They have 3 pillars. They have committed themselves to be one of the greatest company, and they have pledged to become ethical and sustainable global business and they have 3 commitments: enriching people, enriching products, and enriching planets. These help. They have communicated well with these consumers as well as employees and their stakeholders, which help them to get more into. They are able to show more clear picture of where they are investing, and that makes them a good company. For translucent company, as my friend discussed, the Italian company that has achieved many ethical awards since 2004, but they are unable to achieve the proper consumers, so because they are not disclosing their strategies and communicating well to the stakeholders. Next, the opaque companies is Coca-Cola. They started in Southeast Asia. They started with showing they told about the chemicals that they are using very sustainable chemicals in the drinks, but overall they weren't using, when the research came, they weren't using as per the requirement. Overall, they failed, and when the curtains fall, they just got off from the market for a few years. Then the new dark companies, as discussed, dark companies are the new and the basic companies. Overall, the communication is the best sustainable marketing tool that a company needs to approach. Thank you.